talking about carbon shadow, and I won't go into this too much, but there's also what is the purpose of your journey, if you like. So the purpose of your journey is to take something to recycling. And so is that more valuable in its offset, in its carbon footprint? So when we look at carbon footprints, we're just saying, this is carbon, this is not. And we want you to have none. Absolutely, we want that to happen. But there, you know, we talk about trickle down, or we talk about scaling, and we tend to talk about those things in terms of businesses and being able to scale the product to be affordable. Well, that's what we want with sustainability. We want eventually, so one of the problems, or one of the choke points to a greater adoption of sustainability will often be, well, how do you make the single mum who is shopping at Iceland want to buy sustainably? And the answer is, it's not her responsibility. We should all be consuming sustainably, so much so that she ends up consuming sustainably without realizing. And that's where we want to get to. And it's, you know, and we'll often hear these arguments of, you know, but India, but, you know, and absolutely there's emissions there, but what we do at home makes a huge difference. And by that, I mean in our homes and our businesses. We lead by changing that conversation, by showing off about the things that you're genuinely proud about, not just offsetting, but the small wins, by showing off about starting this journey, as Dale Office are doing, by starting the journey and being proud of that. It encourages other people to want to make that journey as well. And that's hugely valuable in this transition, because feeling immobilized and overwhelmed by the science or the lack of clear knowledge is one of the biggest obstacles we have to overcome. So if we can, so for instance, when we're talking about that shadow, sorry, I bounced around a little bit, but I'm dealing with a client that is supporting a women's initiative in Bangladesh. The whole purpose of their business is to support this women's initiative. And there's a carbon footprint with bringing that to the UK where it's sold. But actually what that business does is it mobilizes all of these women into education, all their children into education, that they are able to move and feel more stable. And it's pulling money from the global north into the global south, which is really important part of sustainability. So if we looked at that organization through the lens of carbon only, we would be telling them to reduce their carbon. And that organization wouldn't be lifting up that women's initiative and all of those children and changing their lives. So we have to accept that that carbon, of course, if she was flying it, if that organization was flying it, we'd say, put it on a boat. If we could put it on a train, we put it on a train. You know, there's lots of ways that we can reduce it, but those bits that we can't reduce, we just have to know that the technology is catching up, and we will be able to. And I don't mean that means resting on laurels and not trying to change what you can. There are just some things that the technology isn't there for us yet. And that's the shadow. If that is transporting cheap meat from the Amazon, that we don't need to destroy the Amazon to produce that meat in the first place, let alone then add in, you know, flights or shipping that meat, then that's a carbon footprint. Whereas a carbon shadow is the purpose is good and the carbon is something that we're not yet able to deal with as well as we might.